Started. And now we all hear that nice little creepy recording in progress woman. Anyway, thanks for joining us again. Again, my name's Chad Baker. I'm the chair of the Democratic Party. I have with me Samantha Schlunt, who is our director for campaigns and elections. She is in transit back to her house right now, so she'll be connecting with us here in a few minutes to kind of pick up the tail end of this this webinar. But again, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I know it is always crazy to try to fit something like this into your schedule, so I do appreciate the time that you're taking to do this tonight. So, why are we here? Obviously, it's petitioning time, right? Wrong. We'll talk about that in just a second. But our objectives tonight, we are looking to identify the different types of petitions that will be out there this year. They differ year to year, so we want to make sure that you're looking for the right ones this year. We're going to explain the content of the petitions and kind of what you're looking for, what needs to be filled out on those petitions, and how to make sure that you get that information correct. We are going to review the do's and don'ts of petitioning. It is not as complicated as it sounds, but there's a lot of steps that you need to be careful with as you're petitioning, so we want to make sure we get those all covered. And then our last objective, which is always our objective, and that is to get Democrats on the ballot everywhere, and then in addition, making sure those Democrats win down the road as well. So those are the 4 areas that we're looking to cover tonight. So first and foremost, petitioning was supposed to begin this coming Tuesday. That is not the case. As of yesterday, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court suspended the 2022 election calendar indefinitely. They are still in the process, obviously, of the redistricting, even though the state House and the state Senate lines were approved by the committee that needed to approve them. That can still be challenged for up to 30 days in the higher court system here in Pennsylvania. And the congressional maps are still being discussed as well. So with that in mind, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court made the decision they are going to suspend the calendar until a decision's made on redistricting, which means, as it says here, as a result of this decision, we don't know when petitions will be available. We don't know, although I believe they are showing up on the Board of Elections site now, but we don't know when we're going to be able to start circulating. You cannot circulate a petition until the start of petitioning, and we don't know what that date is yet as a result of this decision. But we still wanted to go ahead with this training tonight because we do think it's valuable to get this information, get a basic understanding of petitioning, and then be able to kind of jump right into this process when the time comes, when we finally do get a decision overall. So this year, we're going to see 2 different types of petitions. There's going to be a Pennsylvania state petition, and that's generally what almost every candidate is going to be using to get on the ballot. From the state House, state Senate, Congress, the U.S. Senate, the governor, lieutenant governor, even our state committee members from York County will be utilizing a state petition to get onto the ballot. There will be York County petitions as well. Those are for precinct committee people. So if there's anybody that's on tonight that's looking to run as a precinct committee person that needs those 10 signatures to get on the ballot, you will have a petition that will probably look a little bit different than the state petitions. And that's because that gets filed with county as opposed to going to the Department of State in Harrisburg. So this is kind of more or less what you're going to see when it comes to Pennsylvania state petitions. So again, most of what you see here is going to be kind of the example that we can expect. These rarely have changed over time. So this is pretty much standard. And Then these are the York County petitions. These look a little bit different. They kind of look the same, but they look a little, you can tell there's a little bit of difference between the two. So, you want to make sure that if you are circulating a petition as a, as a precinct committee person, you're going to want to make sure that you have the correct petition to do that. All right, so let's start with the circulating the nominating petitions, the nomination petitions. So what you're going to see when you look at this is the top part, and actually let me go back a slide or two here. This top portion here that's filled in for the state petitions, that information should already be on the petition when it's given to you, unless you are the candidate. If you are the candidate, you can go on the Pennsylvania Department of State website. You'll be able to input all of this information into the system, and they will produce a PDF then that gets sent to you for the a PDF that'll get sent to you that has all this information. If you're doing the county petitions, you still have the same opening box there at the top. The only major difference, though, is that you'll have to fill this in manually. They may have the PDFs available on their website again this year, which they did in previous years. You'll just have to fill this in yourself. But for all state positions, all state house, state senate, and on up, those petitions will be filled in auto-generated from the Department of State website. So from there, you're going to see a section that is the section where you get your signatures. It must be completed by the elector. So the person that's signing the petition, this is where they're going to sign it. As a circulator, unless you're signing your own name, you will not do anything with this section. You will have the names printed and signed, and all that information filled in by the person that is signing the petition. On the back will be a section that is the statement of the circulator. This is as the circulator, as the person who is out getting signatures. This is the section that you will fill out to attest to the fact that, yes, you are the person that actually circulated the petition to get the signatures. I will point out, and this changed a few years ago. It used to be that as the circulator, you had to get this notarized. That is no longer the case. You do not need to get this notarized to submit it. The Department of State, the Board of Elections, they're comfortable with the fact that if you're signing this, you're filling this out and putting your signature on it, that is enough to attest that you were the circulator for this particular petition. Any questions so far? I'm gonna pause a couple times throughout tonight. So if you have questions, feel free to throw them up in the chat, or let me know. You unmute yourself and you can answer or ask the question. We're gonna get into some more details here in just a second.
Hey Chad, can I add something?
Sure.
Okay, I'll be home in just a second, so I'll get on my other computer and turn my camera on so everybody can see me instead of me holding a pumpkin. But one thing I did want to add, Chad said at the top of your petition, don't sign it unless you're signing your own petition. So let's say that I am carrying a petition for Judith Higgins, who is running for State Senate District 31. I don't live in her district, but legally I can carry her petition, and Chad will explain that a little bit later, or maybe I will. It might be on one of my slides. But I always recommend, so if I was carrying her petition, I would still sign it in line 1. That way people after me have an example to go off of. So that way they have an example. What I will do then, because I do not live in her district and I cannot legally sign her petition, is before I turn it in, I will strike out that top signature because it's not a legal signature. You don't have to do that. That's just a little trick that I've learned over the years. I found that it's a little bit easier for voters to follow if they have an example. So I do that. You don't have to do that. That's just a little trick that's worked for me well over the years.
Great, thanks, Sam. And if you're not comfortable or you think you're going to forget to strike that out, you can always, someone who has signed the petitions many, many times over the years, you can have them sign that in that first spot too. Inevitably, and I say this every year, inevitably there will be signatures that get thrown out. It's just the nature of petitioning. So don't worry about if it gets messed up. Don't worry about if you put something there that's not supposed to be there. We're going to like I said, we're going to go through those steps now at this point to talk about, what you should and shouldn't do. But at the same time, there are ways to correct things if an error shows up on your petition as you go along. Okay, so there's a lot of information on this screen. Really, all you need to do, again, is pay attention to those 6 columns. And the reality is, again, this is kind of basic information. Column 1 is the signature. Make sure that the person that is signing your petition is signing their name, putting their signature in that first column. In the second column, they should print their name. Again, inevitably, you're going to get someone who gets those reversed. Someone will print their name first and sign it second. That's, I don't know that I've ever seen a petition thrown out for that reason. But if that happens, as Sam pointed out a second ago, you strike out that line, have them start over again on the next line, make sure that their signature's in the first box and their printed name is in the second. In the third column, this is their house number. So just the house number. So for example, my house number is 998. That's what I would write in that column. Nothing else, just the house number. In column 4, it's their place of residence, their street or their road. Again, make sure that they're not putting the number in that box. That number goes in the first box. Street name, road name goes in the second box there. The second address box, column 4. So you can, as it says here, you can abbreviate that it says main ST for street. Preferably, you should be having your signers write out everything, not abbreviating. If they put ST down for street or RD for road or AVE for avenue, whatever, that's fine. That's acceptable. And sometimes, obviously, if they've got a long street name, they don't give you a whole lot of room in these boxes. So you need to abbreviate. Sometimes that's fine. In box 5, this is the one you need to be careful with. This is your municipality. So a lot of us in this area have the address 123 Main Street, comma, York, Pennsylvania. You do not write York in there unless you live in York City, and then you write York City. This is where you should write your township, your borough name, or your city name. So again, for example, I live in Manchester Township. Even though my address is York, Pennsylvania, in column 5, I would write Manchester Township. Again, TWP for township is fine. We know that Manchester Township, Springettsbury Township, those are long names that oftentimes don't always fit in that box. So you can abbreviate the township portion of it, but make sure that if you live in Manchester Township, you're writing Manchester Township. If you live in Manchester Borough, it should say Manchester Borough. If you're in York, you should write York City. because there is a York Township. So we want to make sure that that's clear in that section. Again, I've not necessarily seen a petition thrown out for not having township or borough written in there. But at the same time, we don't want to give anyone any reason to try to challenge our petitions. So, try to be, careful with that. Definitely, though, if you know that you're in Manchester Borough or you're in Manchester Township, let's say, and you're getting petitions signed, and it's Manchester Township and people are writing York, you're going to want to make sure that they correct that. Again, if it's an error, you put a black line the whole way through the line, not just that line where they've made the mistake. You would strike it the whole way across, and then they would go down to the next line and begin signing over again. And then the last column there is column 6. That is the date of signing. What is really important about that column is you want to make sure that the dates are in chronological order. So if you're petitioning March 1st, you want to make sure that people are writing 3/1/22 in that box. If they write anything before the start of petitioning, that could actually invalidate the entire petition. So you want to make sure that, if possible, they're getting, make sure first and foremost, you're not circulating before the start date. But then second to that, you want to make sure as people are signing, they're putting the date in order. It is not difficult for someone to look at the line above them and their brain to trick them into writing something else. So for example, again, if somebody writes March 1st, the next person's writing and they see it says 3/1/22. In their mind, they might write 3/2/22, or 3/2/21. Maybe they're still stuck in the old year, not the new year. That's incorrect. You need to make sure that, again, they strike out that error and they put in the correct date. Some important rules for you as a circulator. You are the one that's out there. Yeah.
Hey, Chad, this is Steve Musser. Could you flip back to that previous page just 1 second here? And this is more in line towards the committee people and them circulating their petitions. So say, for instance, this petitioner is in West Manheim Township District 1. Are they limited to only to signatures in West Manheim District 1, or is it available for them to petition in Districts 2 or Districts 3, for instance?
That's a great question. For committee people, for the precinct committee people, you are only able to circulate in the precinct that you would be representing. So in your example there, if they're in West Manheim 1, they would have to circulate in West Manheim 1. Now, when someone signs this, they would only have to put in West Manheim Township. They wouldn't have to put in West Manheim Township 1 in their signature. That would be designated up in that opening preamble box that the candidates fill out themselves. But so yes, to specifically answer your question, as a committee person, you would only be able to gather signatures from individuals in the precinct that you are running as a committee person. Same is true actually for any of our seats. If for the state house seats, I'll use the 95th here in York City where Carol Evans is running again. When Carol, when her folks circulate petitions, they should be circulating the petition only in the 95th. They should only be getting signatures from people in the 95th district. That's why it's also critical that we need to get the precinct lines and the district lines specifically organized here ahead of time so that we know exactly where things need to be.
Thanks, Chad.
Yep. Okay, so the next screen we talk about just some rules, some basic rules for petitioning. As a circulator, as it says, each signer may sign petitions for as many candidates as there are spots on the ballot in November, I should say in November. So if you are running if you're carrying state Senate petitions and you have 2 Democrats that are running for state Senate, then a signer can only sign one of those because that state Senate candidate or that state Senate spot is only for one person. So you can only sign, people can only sign for as many as there are on the ballot. And so if there's if there's a contested primary and there's only one seat, signers can only sign one petition. Each signer must personally insert the information, and I mentioned that earlier. So anything that's filled out in that section that we just looked at, the signers have to fill that out themselves. If you are out petitioning and you go down, a neighborhood street and you're 5 or 6 houses down and you look down and you realize everyone on that sheet hasn't filled in the date, you personally cannot go back and put the date in those boxes. That would be fraudulent. That would be, inappropriate. You can go back and knock on those people's doors and ask them if they would sign or if they would date that where they had just signed. If you are already gone, maybe outside of the neighborhood, you'd have to invalidate that particular signature because you don't have that information. Never, ever, ever, ever let a signer put ditto marks down. It is, again, very easy, especially when you've got 2, 3, or more people in a household that are signing their names. It's really easy for a person to sign their name, put down their address, put down their township, put down the date, and then the next person in that household to sign their name and then just put ditto marks. That's not allowed. That second person has to fill out that information on their own as well. So you want to make sure that if you see somebody putting ditto marks down, cross out that line and have them actually fill out in full the very next line of information. Each signer must sign their name and insert their address exactly as it appears, or if they don't have it available, obviously, as close to as it appears on their permanent registration record. Again, if somebody is registered as Robert Smith and they write down Bob Smith, it's probably not going to get tossed out if it gets challenged. But to be on the safe side, they should probably sign it as they were registered. So when they go in to vote on election day, the name that appears in the book, the name that appears on their registration card, that should be how they're signing their petitions as well. And as it says there, this is a little bit, kind of, I don't want to, point specifically to generations, but for a lot of our older signers, it was more common to see a married couple write, Mrs. John Smith as opposed to Jane Smith. So you want to make sure that, again, when they sign their name, they're signing it, as it would appear on their card, not as Mrs. or Mr. or what have you. Okay, so next thing is you want to make certain that each signer of the petition is registered and an enrolled member of the party referred to in that petition. So again, if you're out circulating petitions, you should have a list of registered Democrats who are eligible to sign the petitions. And those lists will either be provided by the party or they'll be provided by candidates who you may be circulating the petitions for. In either case, that should be the list that you're working on. You should really never take a petition and just walk down the street and knock on doors and get people to sign, because if you are circulating for a Democratic candidate, you should only have Democratic signatures on your petition. And as I said, you should only have people that live within that particular precinct as well. The person that executes the statement of the circulator, that panel that's on the back box, must be the person that is present when they are circulating. That must be the person who's actually circulating the petition, and they must be present when people are signing. Let me give you a great example of what not to do. I think it was maybe 4 years ago now. We had 2 Republicans that were running for a state house seat. They went into an assisted care facility. They dropped off their petitions. They left them lay on the table, and they left. And they came back a few days later, and they collected those petitions and all the signatures that were on those petitions. And they filled out on the back of that sheet that they were the circulator of that petition. They have no idea, what happened with those petitions from the time that they just laid them down to the time that they picked them up. Unfortunately, we weren't able to capture that when we needed to, or else we could have challenged that, and that entire petition could have been thrown out. We have had candidates in the past that have had that issue, where they have gone into, gone in and filed their petition, and it gets tossed out because they know that, they weren't the person, whoever's challenging it knows that they weren't the person who actually circulated that petition. So you have to be there with that petition at all times to get the signatures, and then sign that on. Don't fill that statement of the circulator out until you know you are done with that petition. So maybe that petition is completely full, then you can fill it out. Maybe it's the day before the deadline and you get ready to turn it in and you have 3 signatures on it, then you can fill it out. You should never fill out that statement of the circulator and then have people sign the petition. You should always sign that statement at the very end of the process. And candidates are reminded that their petitions may only be circulated by registered voters of Pennsylvania. You do not need to live in the district to circulate the petition, but you do need to be a registered Democrat in the state of Pennsylvania to circulate the petition. So you can. So I'm sorry, Richard. I think there's something wrong with your audio. So if you have a question, if you want to type it in the chat, we can answer it there. But again, you want to make sure that that it's a registered Democrat from the state of Pennsylvania. They can take your petitions around and get them signed. Now, again, the signers have to be Democrats that live in that district, but the circulators can be registered Democrats that live in the state of Pennsylvania. And yeah, okay. And Nikki actually brought up a point in the chat as well. Thank you, Nikki, for that. If you're out circulating the petitions, you knock on a door and someone says, "Oh, my spouse is in another room. Can I take that petition and take it into that?" Absolutely not. You have to stay with that petition at all times. So either see if they will let you, take it to that person, or just say, "Thanks, I appreciate it, but I'm not allowed to let this leave my hands," and just go on to the next house. If it's one signature, it should not be the make or break signature for your collection process. But just be aware of that it should never leave your hands. So. So another question came in about the list of registered Democrats that we get. Do they have the name of the person listed as it appears on the registration roll? And the answer to that is yes. The database that we have should be pulling information directly from the voter rolls. And as a result, then yes, it should be what you have on that sheet. As long as it's generated through our database, which again, candidates should have access to, the party should have access to, our regional directors within the party should have access to. Yes, that information should be what appears on the voter rolls. A petition may not contain signatures from more than one county. This is important to recognize if you're carrying a petition for governor, lieutenant governor, U.S. Senate, and then depending on how the lines fall, the congressional races. Always make sure that at the top of your petition, where that statement is at the top, that it says York County. So if you're carrying a petition for Josh Shapiro for governor, make sure it is a York County petition. If you're circulating in York County, and then only people that live within York County can then sign that petition. Every county, all 67 counties, will have their own designated petitions for those statewide offices or any districts that cross over. Same thing is true. There's a couple, I think there's at least one house, I think state house district in our area that has some carryover into another county. And if that's the case, again, you want to make sure that only people from York County are signing that petition, and that the petition is only for York County individuals. Now, to go back to my last point, if you wanted to help, if another county said, hey, we know you're going to be in, Adams County next weekend, would you want to carry a petition for Josh Shapiro? Yeah, absolutely. You can do that. You can go to Gettysburg and you can circulate a petition, but it has to be an Adams County petition that gets circulated. So you just need to be careful that you have that right information on them. The petition may not be signed before the official date or after the end date. I already mentioned this before. Again, arbitrarily, let's just say the start of petitioning is March 1st. I'm going to reiterate, we don't know that for sure, but let's just use that as a random date. If you were to get signatures before March 1st, you run the potential of getting your entire set of petitions invalidated, or at least that entire petition invalidated, if it has the incorrect date on it. So you want to be, make sure that, especially if you're a candidate, make sure that your circulators are not out circulating petitions before the actual start of petitioning. They shouldn't obviously be signing it after petitioning ends. By that point, your petitions should all be filed. They should be with either the Department of State or the York County Board of Elections. And in either case, there should not be anyone signing petitions after the date. And then the last thing, I mentioned that already, is just make sure your dates on the petitions are in chronological order. If they're all scattered, it's okay if you have gaps. And, if it's March 1st and then March 13th is the next one, as long as that one after March 13th is in chronological order, that's fine as well. Just make sure that, they're not out of order, or else, again, that could cost you that particular signature or potentially that entire petition. Yeah, and Brian, thanks for your comment there in chat as well. It is that county thing can be tough especially when you have statewide candidates, and especially when you have candidates, especially for Congress. Our congressional districts sometimes cross over into other counties, and it's easy to have the wrong one. My recommendation is just, if you need a petition, contact us here at our headquarters. We will have them available, or contact the candidate directly, and their campaign team should have them for you. For those statewide races, again, the governor, the lieutenant governor, the Senate, we will have all of those candidate petitions available. So if you need them, just let us know and we can get those to you. So this is probably more relative to any candidates that are on the call, but there are certain numbers that you have to hit in order to be a valid candidate on the ballot. And you can see them all listed. I'm not going to go through every single one of them. Most important, though, are those state house and state senate seats. You want to make sure that typically the advice that we give is that candidates try to get twice as many signatures than what are actually required. So, if If you're running for precinct committee person, you only need 10, get 20. If you're running for state senate, you need 500, get 1,000. Get 750, 1,000 if you can, only because you don't want someone to come in and challenge a petition. Oh, that's a good point, Shanna. Sam, can you confirm that I put an error in with the State House? It might only be 300 for State House.
Yes, State House is only 300.
Okay. All right. My apologies. That was me typing, probably cutting and pasting and not paying attention. So I apologize. And thanks, Shanna, for keeping me on track. That's always important too. So like I said, we always advise folks to get double. And the reason for that is because someone from the other party, or even if you have a contested primary, somebody from the other campaign can challenge a set of petitions. And if they find enough that are not valid, you can actually not meet the threshold to get on the ballot. And again, I will give you an example of a few years ago, we had a candidate for Congress. This was a number of years back now. He circulated his petition. He had 1,000 signatures. Those 1,000 signatures, he had I think he had 1,020 signatures. Took those, filed those. His challenger went in and challenged like 21 of them. Those 21 signatures got thrown out. He was below the threshold. He wasn't able to get on the ballot. He did ultimately run a write-in campaign, and that was enough to get him on the ballot. But in this case, always try to get more than what you need, just to protect, your candidate and candidates yourselves, to protect yourself. When printing petitions from a website, so if you're getting PDFs of your petitions, you want to make sure that they are double-sided and they are top to top. And what I mean by that is, if your front page, you have your front page looks normal. When you flip it over, it should match up on the back, top to bottom, top to bottom. If you are printing out 2 sheets, they will not be accepted. If it is upside down on the back, I have seen them be accepted, but that's also another grounds that could potentially challenge it. As I said, don't ever give anyone any question to challenge your petition, and you should be fine. So again, typically what we recommend is, if at all possible, don't print out petitions yourself. Come to our headquarters here in York, go to our office in Hanover, talk to your regional directors, talk to your campaigns and your candidates, and they should have that information available to you. If you have any doubt about the validity of a signature, and we've already talked about this, draw a solid black line the entire way through that line, and have the signer re-sign on the next level. Don't just have them cross out one part of it and write, kind of over top of that. Just have them strike through the entire line, go right to the next line, and have them sign again. Candidates must submit a completed statement of financial interest. We'll work with our candidates upon that, so that's not anything necessarily that we need to go through tonight. And the Democratic Party is able to help with filing. And again, this is more for candidates. You'll need to make sure that you have all the completed paperwork, a check for the filing fees, those types. I stand corrected. Cash or a money order, or certified check for the filing fees. They don't like you using personal checks. And those need to be, if you want the party to do that for you, you should have those dropped off to our headquarters here in York no later than 5 days before the filing deadline. That way we have plenty of time to get to Harrisburg to file those for you. And we're not standing in line the last day. And that's the other thing we tell candidates all the time. Don't wait until the last day to file. And the big reason for that is because everyone waits till the last day to file. And if you go to Harrisburg and stand in line at the Department of State, it could take literally hours to get your petitions filed. So try to go earlier. The earlier you get your petitioning done, then as a candidate, you can just kind of kick back and relax. So So yes, thanks, Bernie. Yep, that leads us actually right into our filing fees. Anyone that is signing or anyone that is running as a candidate, these are your fees that you need to pay to file your petitions. It's a one-time fee. So if you're running for State House, you pay $100 to the Department of State to file your petitions. If you get more petitions after that, you can take them to Harrisburg and get them added on to your total number of signatures, and you don't have to pay again. You only have to pay that one filing fee. For anyone that's running as a precinct committee person, so you're one of those people that are running in your precinct, there is no filing fee. And thank you, Bernie, for putting that in the chat as well. I think that's important. You know, you only need to get 10 signatures. You don't have to pay money to file. You only need to circulate those petitions. That's really it. So we're at the questions part again. Any questions? Sam, did I miss anything that you need to add in there? We have a couple more things yet to go over, but
No, I don't think so. It's been very thorough.
all right. So I'm gonna look to Sam. You want to take it from here? I don't even remember what's next. So
Yeah, sure.
okay, this is good.
Sorry, I was getting to my screen. Where do precinct people? Nikki, where do precinct committee people file their petitions? Sorry, I have two meetings going. Let me turn down the other one. So precinct committee people file their petitions at the York County Board of Elections. So either they can drop them off, a proxy can drop them off, just a trusted person. There's no paperwork for that. The trusted person can just drop it off. Like I could drop off your petitions. The other option is if you would like to bring your paperwork into the Democratic Party of York County, our hours are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 to 4, I think. If you want to bring it in the Friday before the petition period closes, Chad and I can make sure that it gets down there. It does have to be the Friday before, though. We can't get them there if they come in on Monday. And yes, you can sign your own petition. You should sign your own petition. As long as you live in the area. So if you're running for precinct committee person, sign your own petition. The only way that I say you can't sign a petition that you're carrying is if you're carrying for someone in an area where you don't live. But if you're running for precinct committee person, yes, please sign your own petition. If your spouse or your family live in your precinct and they're registered Democrats, have them sign your petition too. All right, so how do you get signatures? Door to door is a great way. If you are running for precinct committee person, as long as we have your information, and after this event today, we'll send out an email. It has a Google form and it says, if you're running for precinct committee person, and nobody knows yet. So if you're running in Northern York and Bernie Flinchball already knows, she's told Chad and I, or Nikki Byer already knows, she's told Chad or I. But if you're running for precinct committee person, just fill out that Google form. That way we know that you're running. So that way we can make sure that we send you a copy of your petition. And we also send you a walk list for your precinct with all of the registered Democrats that are in your precinct. That way you don't have to find that information. You don't have to worry about printing it out. You already have it in hand. The reason that we're sending you your petition is so that way you don't have to worry about printing it out, and you don't have to worry about coming to pick one up at the Board of Elections. If you don't live near the city, that's kind of a hike. So we're trying to take that step out and kind of help people out that way. You can hold petition signing parties. I know Northern York does these a lot. They do a lot of drive-through petitioning events. So if you talk to a regional director in your area, or if you just want to say to family and friends, hey, you live in my precinct, stop over at my house, sign my petition really quickly, then get out because it's COVID, or let them stay. I don't care. Whatever you're comfortable with. You can also do events like that. I've been to a lot of petitioning parties. They're really fun. Just be aware of COVID. Family, friends, neighbors, we've kind of talked about that, knocking on your neighbors' doors. If if they had tons of Biden signs out in their lawn last year, go grab their signature, and go to a public venue, library, market. These are a little bit harder because you don't know if the people visiting those areas are from your precinct. Going to a public area like a library or a market or a farmer's market, these options work a lot better if you're carrying for a bigger candidate who covers a bigger area. So something like State House, State Senate, governor, senator. Those are times where standing at a public place is the best. Going door to door, though, is really the best for precinct committee people. And you only need 10 signatures. So it's not that many doors that you'll have to go to. Okay, Chad. What are you doing?
Sorry.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so how can we help? I already covered this a little bit, but don't go to the Board of Elections and get a walking list. They are going to make you pay for it. We can get them for you. If you don't get it in the mail, just call up the party, email Chad or I. Chad, if you want to put our emails in the chat, I'm also going to send out an email to everybody who's here after this. So you'll get my email that way as well. And Chad will be CC'd on that. So you'll get his that way as well. But please contact us. I can get you a walking list very, very quickly, and it's very easy. It'll be all of the registered Democratic voters in your area. I can email it right to you. If you need copies of petitions, we have them in York. We're happy to make copies of your petition. We do ask for contributions if you want more than 25 petitions. If you're running for precinct committee person, I don't think that you're going to need more than 25 petitions. The only time we, again, need people needing that many petitions is if they're running for something like State House or State Senate. And then get your petitions in. From events, we have tons of events at the party. If you are running for a precinct committee person, this doesn't work out quite as well for the same reason that I said about the libraries and the markets don't work quite as well, because you don't know where the voters are coming from. And some people don't know their precinct off the top of their head. But for folks that are running for State House and State Senate, please, please, please give us at headquarters copies of your petitions. We are having petitioning events as soon as we know the petitioning dates, and we will carry your petitions and make sure that we help you get signatures. The one thing that I'm going to add to this is, if you are running for larger office or you're running for precinct committee person and you give someone else one of your petitions to circulate, please be mindful of getting that back in time. If you're running for precinct committee person, it's a little easier because you may only have, 1 or 2 copies of your petitions, if any, with somebody else. But when this gets complicated is when we have folks running for State House and State Senate. Oftentimes they will have 10, 20, 30 petitions out to volunteers at any given time during that 3-week window. So it is incredibly important to establish a tracking structure, just a quick spreadsheet or a Google document, and track who has your petitions, track when you're getting them back, and make sure that you get them back before the day that petitioning ends. Like Chad said, you don't want to be standing in line for hours and hours and hours if you are filing your petitions in Harrisburg. Again, if you're filing your petitions in York because you're running for precinct committee person, this really doesn't apply to you. But if you are running for bigger office where you need 300 signatures, you need to track where those petitions are. And I see a lot of stuff came in through the chat. Shanna, you said track who has your petitions. Yes, I cannot emphasize that enough. Track who has your petitions. And Bernie messaged me in the chat and said that she can help folks out in Northern York with those walk sheets. So she is ready to go for anybody in Northern York. Okay. The other thing is, if you need anything, contact the party. We will help you. You can stop in. Again, we're open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in York from 10 to 4. I'm sorry. We are downtown. We do have some parking spots in the back. We're just catty corner from the library in our new office. We've been there for about a year. We also have a Hanover office on Carlisle Street. Chad, you may need to put the hours for that in the chat. I don't know them off the top of my head. And you can also get online. So we have our email address, our web address, and all of our social media. Chad also put my and his email addresses in the chat. Those are a little bit better than using the Vote at York Dems. For general questions, the Vote at York Dems is okay. But if you have an urgent question, you need a walk list tomorrow, email me personally. I can get that done for you. But then it'll come right to my email and I'll get a notification on my phone. So send that to my private email. It's a little bit easier for me.
And Sam, I just wanted to mention, I think Steve is putting the office hours for Hanover.
Yes, I saw. Thank you, Steve.
So, and then that was it. Do we have other questions? I appreciate some of the folks that have done petitioning multiple times that are joining us tonight are throwing things in the chat. So we appreciate that as well.
Quick question, Chad.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I had noticed on one of your slides going back that you had listed that notary still needed to be done on the candidate affidavit.
Yeah.
That is not required anymore if you do the candidate declaration form, correct?
I believe so. And because I think I will say, because you sent me that information, I believe that's accurate.
Yes. Yeah, I actually just learned about this last night in Dauphin County. So the governor made the decision in lieu of COVID. It only took 2 years to make this decision, but that instead of filling out the candidate affidavit, candidates can choose to fill out. Ray, can you repeat the name of what that document's called?
It's the candidate declaration form that will be attached to the candidate affidavit.
Thank you. Yeah. Keep them attached, but you can just sign the other one, and that's waiving the need for a notary. If you would still like to fill out the candidate affidavit that you do need notarized, Chad and I do plan on having a day. We're hoping one in Hanover and one in York. Unfortunately, we just can't make these plans until we know the dates, but we're hoping to get 2 dates to have a notary on the western end of the county and downtown in our headquarters in the city. Again, we will give out more dates and info on that. We just don't know yet. So we can't make those plans until we know if our notaries can make it. So there is an option if you would like to get the affidavit notarized, or in lieu of that, you can fill out the other form that does not need notarization. Both are the same, both achieve the same goal. Ray, thank you for bringing that up.
No
Yeah,
problem.
thanks for bringing that up, Ray, because I got snagged by that at the courthouse last year.
Yep.
Other questions? I know someone said a question about the office hours for the headquarters here in York are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And I will say normally I am in the office on Tuesday and Thursday evenings from 6 to 9. I usually just tell folks, give a call to headquarters first to make sure I'm here, because every once in a while I'm out at a meeting or, I may not be in that evening. So, but there will be volunteers here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 to 3. So, Nikki, I saw your question as well about petitions. And I assume you're asking about precinct committee petitions. The plan is right now, and as Sam mentioned earlier, the reason why we want to get the information of who is running for a precinct committee spot is that we are going to send you a petition. We will send you kind of a one-pager of the guidelines that we just talked about tonight. And we will send you a walk list that has 25 to 30 names on it of people that you could get to sign your petition as a precinct committee person. So we will send that to folks. We are encouraging folks too, if you are familiar with using Minivan. Minivan is the phone app that has the list on it. We are going to provide that information to you as well. So you can either use a paper walk list, or you can use use Minivan, which is the digital walk list. The nice thing about using Minivan is that any data that we collect goes right into the system right away, whereas paper lists, we've got to go back and do that on our own. The other thing that we are letting folks know as well is that if you do have paper lists that we send you, we do need to get those back to headquarters at some point after petitioning ends. So it is important that you get those returned to us if possible. Stan, anything else that you wanted to add? Oh, you just muted yourself.
I didn't realize I wasn't muted. No. So the only thing that I will say to Minivan is just give my little pitch for it. Minivan is the app that comes from our walk list. So we make our walk lists in a program called Vote Builder. A lot of you know about Vote Builder. Vote Builder is owned by the DNC. It's a really incredible tool that holds the voter database. And Minivan is an app that comes from Vote Builder. What's really great about it is Minivan talks to Vote Builder. So any data that you collect that they signed your petition, we are actually able to get that back. And what that does is next year in our municipal year, when we're going to have a lot of candidates running for everything from borough council to mayor to school board, it will help those folks that are running have folks already tagged who sign a petition. So we will know because it will tell our system that those folks signed a petition. There's just a little box that you check on Minivan to say, did they sign your petition? Yes. And that's all you have to do. But that's going to be really helpful for our candidates next year. Again, it's not a requirement. You don't have to use it, but that's my little 30-second pitch for why it is so important to use. It gives us data that's going to help us in years to come and help candidates in years to come. And we used Minivan a lot for petitioning last year. So we already have some of that data as well.
Great, thanks, Sam. I will just say again, if at any point you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Don't hesitate to reach out to campaigns. I see Isaac has his hand up. So Isaac, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. Hopefully my mic is working. But so you said about people signing petitions. Is it possible when you use the combination of Minivan and Vote Builder to know who has signed a petition like during the process? Like if I'm going out the week and I say like tell Minivan or Vote Builder, whichever, that these 5 people signed my petition, will that be reflected on Vote Builder right away so other people can see, or would that be more of a yearly update thing?
It is much more of a update thing.
Okay.
When you tag them, they'll come back through our system. I have to go in then, and it's called committing all that data. All it is then is saving all of that data back into our system. But once that happens, it will save. So say, Isaac, you go out and collect signatures. I'm just going to give an arbitrary date on March 16th. I go through on March 17th. I commit all of your data. If say then Chris Rodkey doesn't layer on your district, Judy Higgins is out collecting signatures in the 131st in Hanover where you just were, she will be able to see that. So it's not instant, but it does happen just over a couple days. It doesn't take very long at all.
That's awesome to hear.
Yes.
Is there a way on Vote Builder that like it'll let us know that like it's been updated, or no?
No.
Okay.
Just know that I do it like every 48
Okay.
hours.
It's also
I just go through and do it every 2 days or so.
cool. All right. Thanks, Sam. I appreciate everything you guys are doing with this meeting. Thanks.
Yeah, and quickly, Isaac, just for everybody that we had record of for Hanover Borough and West Manheim and Penn Township, we have them entered. So those are already entered for you. So you'll be able to see those petition signers.
Awesome. Thanks.
Now, real quick, Sam and Chad, either one of you, did you guys mention at the beginning that petitions are being available for printing at this point, or some of them, or what is the status of that on what exactly is available?
So I believe that the county petitions are available now. I know Dauphin County's petitions are available now, so I assume York's are as well. Chad, I have not checked the State Department website today. I know as of yesterday, they were not yet available. Have you checked today?
No,
Or
I
if
did not
anybody's
check
checked today? Okay.
Okay.
I can check really quickly, Ray.
Well, I could have got on too and checked. I was just wondering if you had the answer.
No,
Not making you do the work.
it's okay. I do not know. Sorry. I haven't been checking quite every day. It looks like they are not up, but that's just a really quick look. So I may just be missing it.
No problem. I'll dig a little further. Thanks.
And
Okay.
yes, York County, someone just confirmed with me in the chat. York County does have their petitions available on the website. You can also go into the Board of Elections and pick them up. It's downtown in York City at the old courthouse, the York County Administrative Center, it's called now. And the State Department, someone else just confirmed they do not see them yet on the website. So petitions for precinct committee people are available at the York County Board of Elections. Petitions for anything else are not yet available.
But you cannot collect signatures for even the county at
Nope.
this point until they declare the calendar lifted and all that stuff.
Yeah, until we have dates.
And I'll reiterate once again too, that if you want to make sure that you have the correct petition as a committee person, as a precinct committee person, contact either Sam or I and let us know that you're running, and we'll make sure that we send you a copy of that petition so that you have it. So you don't need to worry about going on the website. You wouldn't need to worry about coming into our headquarters or going into the Board of Elections. We will send that directly to you. Just use our email addresses, and I will post those again so that you have them.
And Chad, I'll also be sending out that form. So if someone doesn't want to email us for whatever reason and wants
That's
to fill out a Google form, you can do it that way as well. Either way, it works.
Yep. Okay. So it looks like we're a little after 8. So I want to make sure, be aware of everyone's time. Again, thank you for joining us, Isaac. We can email the slides to you. We also recorded this, so anybody that jumped on, midway through or had to jump off, we'll make sure that the link is available so that you can go back through this presentation as well. But yes, we can absolutely provide this presentation to you, the slides as well. So again, if you need anything at any time during this process, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're happy to help. That's what we're here for. Our regional directors are excellent at this as well. So we will, if you've not talked to them, we will connect you with them as well. Otherwise, we say good luck. This is by far the craziest petitioning that I have ever dealt with, not knowing, this is the first time I think we've ever done a training, not knowing when petitioning is actually going to happen. So I appreciate everyone's patience with that as well. And we will keep you up to date on those dates when we get them. So thanks again, everyone, and have a great evening.